Hi, it's great to be here. I'm a huge fan of what you're accomplishing here. I love the team, and I love that I'm not the oldest person in the room. Sailing Ships Maine is a new nonprofit, relatively speaking, and it was created around an event, but now we're slavishly devoted to educating youth at sea. All right, is that close enough? So I want to show off a few pictures, and I click and nothing happens. Where are we? Sorry about that. So this is us, Sailing Ships Maine. Today I'm Alex, and Bethany Ives is here. She's going to join us. This is an oil painting of schooner Harvey Gamage. She's the most successful sail training vessel in U.S. history, youth sail training vessel in U.S. history. Close second might be the Westward from Sea Education Association, the Corwith Kramer from Sea, and Siemens. But the Gamage is 50 years old this year, and she has set the standard for 50 years for getting kids out to sea. Most of the kids that have gone on her have been on a semester at sea program, and we have been the custodian of the Gamage for the last few years. She is an inspected vessel. She has a crew of 10 and 23 students. She has 33 beds on her, and she's actually remarkably quick for her size. And she's a tremendous wooden asset to the state of Maine, to the U.S., to the whole United States. She's been incredibly successful. So we have been running her for the last 5 years, or we've either been operating her ourselves under charter or have been the only customer, and have sent 6 semesters at sea, 6 different semesters, and then we've also done a bunch of one-week programs. This is not the only vessel we have operated. We have sent over 100 kids to sail on this vessel. This is a brand new steel, fully rigged tall ship called the Oliver Hazard Perry, based in Newport, Rhode Island. She has 49 bunks. She's completely modern in the hull, and she's very traditional in the rig. So she's an amazing ship. And we use her as much as possible to send students from Maine and elsewhere to sea. This is a vessel we know and love and aspire someday to have something like her. She's steel, she's handy, she's only about 70 feet. We can operate her as a U.S. Coast Guard inspected vessel or not, but she would be a great asset for us in the future. That's why I have this picture here. I thought you'd enjoy it. And this vessel is a wooden schooner. She's a Murray Peterson Coaster 3 design. She was donated to us last year when we began to transition away from large inspected vessels like the Harvey Gamage towards smaller, handier vessels. She takes 9 people. She's a 6-passenger, so 6 passengers and 3 crew. She was donated to us last summer, and we sailed her for 5 weeks with 6 kids, and we did some work on her before we acquired her, and now she's part of our fleet of 6-passenger vessels. So I'm going to go back to tell you a little bit more about the Harvey Gamage. Here is some of our happy students and a happy member of the crew. We spend a lot of time working on Harvey Gamage. She came back last April, not this April, but last April, and we finally got her operating again near the end of September. in order to keep her certificate of inspection and to keep her inspected, we had to tear out her entire interior. I won't show you that picture because it's too scary. But anyway, we're constantly working on gametes. We had 10 crew year round. That's 12 months, 10 crew for the last 5 years. It was an incredible challenge coming up with great crew. This is a picture of Anna Maria Hansen, who is now, she was the third mate on Harvey Gamut. She is now the captain of Sarah Jane, the schooner that I just showed you. So we're trying to train the next generation, not only of students, we're also trying to train the next generation of captains and educators. So the Gamage, as an inspected vessel, had to have equipment like this. This is life-saving equipment that is just incredibly onerous, incredibly challenging. This is another vessel in our fleet, which we'll talk about later. So these are pictures of the Gamage. It's amazing to have 33 people on board. We have a cook, 3 mates, a captain, 3 deckhands, and an engineer, and then students. We train the students to run the ship almost immediately. We're dual certified as a passenger vessel and a sail training vessel. Amazing things happen on these voyages, which I can't tell you about because I don't know, because I'm here at my desk working like Kirsty and don't get the fun of being on the ship. But I do see the pictures. This is the South Carolina or the Georgia coast. This is our small boat, which is, by the way, 18 feet. And these are students, most of these students, a lot of them are from Proctor Academy, but from they're also from other schools as well. We went to Mobile, Alabama. We recruited 9 students of color. We have a real problem in our yachting, recreational sailing industry, convincing people of color to come to sea. They've been chased out since right after the Civil War. People of color were chased away from the maritime industry. We've worked hard to recruit them back, and this is part of our effort. We went to Mobile, Alabama, so that they could go see Montgomery and Selma and learn about their history. And all of the kids thanked us for teaching them about their history, which made us all cry, of course, because we didn't know anything about it either. We learned as we went. This is one of the descendants of the last slave ship to come to America, the Clotilda. And the Clotilda was scuttled in Mobile Harbor, and the family that did it denied that it ever existed. And it was finally confirmed 2 or 3 years ago. And this is one of the descendants. So we went to visit, we met with the descendants, we heard their life stories, where they settled in Alabama. It was really moving stuff for all of us. So the man on the left is the descendant. The man on the right is the head of Proctor Academy, which has endorsed our programs. They've been running sail training programs for 30 years, and it just happened that they have a head of school who's an African American who absolutely gets this. And so we've done not only programs, we've done 2 semesters at sea each year for the past 2 years working with Proctor Academy. That's the small boat again, another small boat. This is one of our instructors. These are 2 of our students. They had no idea, they'd never been on a boat. They had no idea what they were getting into. They just took a leap. And there's a picture of Gamage. There's Captain Matt Glenn from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's really hard to find captains with his skill to run a vessel like Gamage. We need a captain who will stick around for a month or 2, and they're just very hard to find. Lots of Zoom meetings. So I just like to point this person out, Captain Pamela Coughlin. is a veteran of Sea Education Association and the Seamen's, and she came to us and has been the person who allowed us to run this vessel for the last 4 years. This is Gamage in Mobile. So in the winter, we head south, obviously. We'd like to go to the Caribbean, but we can't because our insurance agency called us out of the blue 3 years ago and said, you can't go to the Caribbean anymore. And we said, how about the Bahamas? And they said, no. So we're limited to U.S. coastal sailing with the inspected vessels. This is the head of school in Providence, Rhode Island, who recruited our students of color. We agreed to pay for the students, fund them, transport them, and we needed to find an educator who had the vision to send the students. And she's amazing. She, like a lot of heads of school, she has no time to mess around. When she got the offer, she started recruiting. She said, I may get you 2 or 3 students. She had 9 sign up each of the last 2 years, and we're going to do 9 next year too. Another picture of Gamage. We do almost no adult programming. We did have these two join us as adult students. They had a ball, and I think there's a future in adult sail training. But we don't have much to offer in the way of experience. These are the students visiting the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The first year we did it, it was kind of emotional. This is one of their training experiences. They do a lot of team building. These are some of the students from Rhode Island. These are the 3 visionaries who made this happen. These are the students talking about their experiences at school afterwards. So they each went back and they had to do presentations about their experience on the Gamage. One of our crew coming out of the, there's a forward area of the ship. The Gamage has watertight bulkheads, 5 of them. And this space is the forwardmost of the 5, and you can barely get in and out, although I've done it. Transition. So because of the complication and the difficulty and the challenges of operating the Harvey Gamage, the major challenges are insurance, Coast Guard certification, and problems with the challenges of financing a vessel like that. Last summer, I asked the owner of Sarah Jane if he would donate the boat to us for sail training, and he did. And this is my family celebrating. Those are my daughters and my wife. And we're celebrating the day that Sarah Jane was launched. This is a picture of Sarah Jane on Monday of this week. We had our first group of students. Our programs run Monday through Friday overnight. And the students came on board. They've never sailed. They have no experience whatsoever. This group happens to come from Lynn, Mass. But all summer long, we have groups of students that have never sailed before. They have no idea what they're about to experience. And we just put them on the ship and send them out. There they go. They barely got their life jackets on. I bought them the life jackets at Walmart the night before because none of them had life jackets. That's Captain Anna Marie Hansen. You saw a picture of her earlier. This is the same vessel on the mooring. This doesn't. All right. So David Stimpson is a well-known boat builder from Maine, and he's the person who is keeping us honest with the care of Sarah Jane. I know you have a box of these kind of people, but we have only one. Well, we have T. T is a shipwright and bosun, and she helps us, and she's getting ready to paint. This is our second donated vessel, Brightside. This is Captain Josh on the right. And that is Will Goldenheim on the left, who has an organization called North Shore Maritime. He's one of 90 partners we have in schools and programs around the country who are willing to bring students to us. We don't have any students. We have ships and crews, so we find partners who will bring us students. We always say, don't worry about the funding, get the students, we'll figure out the funding later. But 9 times out of 10, they figure out the funding too, because they want to make it happen. And Will Goldenheim single-handedly recruited the students and raised the funding. And this is that vessel when we first got her. There she is this week. There's the new engine we had to put in her. That's one of the reasons why we got her as a donation. That's one of our volunteers lifting her into place. These are the students who arrived this week on a school bus. No life jackets. Okay. Another neck snapping transition. How's everybody doing? We're okay. So this is our third kind of sail training that we started. We're in our third year now. These are Pearson ensigns. They're small, again, uninspected. So Sarah Jane, uninspected. She's a 6-passenger vessel. Brightside, uninspected. And these are ensigns. These are uninspected. And we're taking these kids, middle school kids, out for 40 hours in 1 week, not overnight. We feel they're too young, plus they're challenging. Bethany was with me today. We had a particularly challenging day today because there wasn't much wind and there was a lot of rain, and we heard a lot of teenage boy chatter. Enough for a lifetime, really. Anyway, here we are this last week. So we take groups of 6 kids out for 40 hours. We feel that in 40 hours, we can actually teach them something about sailing. And we just head out and we go out to the islands and we anchor and we row in and visit different places, and they navigate and they talk among themselves some, but mostly we try to keep them engaged with the sailing. A little bit of fear, maybe a little bit of seasickness, and they're pretty good students, most of them. Here they are trying to figure it out. There's another view of an ensign. We throw them in rowboats and try to get them to row by themselves. Maybe not the smartest thing to be doing, but we try to do it in such a safe way that we can be there in 20 seconds if something happens. This is a sailing skill. If you can't row out to your boat, you can't really accomplish the task. So we're trying to give them a completely rounded education. We talk to them about outboards, we talk about VHFs, we talk about navigation, voyage planning, we talk about boats and sailing, and we talk about adventure. It's a rounded program. It's different. It's not the same curriculum as the Opti 420 model that the other yacht clubs are using, where it's much more racing oriented. This is much more cruising, voyaging, adventure oriented. Here are a couple of our volunteers. This is the boat Bethany and I sailed today, and these are 2 of our volunteers painting it. We do adult classes on these boats in the evenings, 5:30 to 8. And this is this week. This was a couple nights ago. This was our group. The adults are really fun. They're so jazzed to be learning about sailing. And then I try to convince them to go out and buy a 50-foot boat right after Friday class ends. This is trying to figure out how far it is to ice cream. These are volunteers working on our ensigns. We rent a shop in Bodenham, and we work on the boats there. A couple of our volunteers up there. These are, we borrow the town dinghies when nobody's around and put kids in them, and they rotate around trying to learn how to row. This is Ensign Middle School program meets high school Brightside. And this is the end of, or one of the days that Gamage spent on Cumberland Island. Cumberland Island is owned by the Sprague family. Sprague family owns Harvey Gamage. They've been incredibly generous. One of them serves on our board. We no longer charter the Gamage. It was too much for us. We're focused on the small boats. It's much more efficient, flexible, and we would dearly love to partner with your organization here to get kids out on the water. You don't need to do what we do. We don't need to do what you do, but we do think that our whole mission is the kids, a changed kid. That's all we really care about. We're not here for the money. We're not here for the glory. We're just trying to get the kids out on the water. And we're at, I don't know, 1,500 kids for at least a week over the last 8 years. This is Pete Feeney. And Pete owns our shop in Bodenham. And this is Pete's baby, a 32-foot long rowing shell with 6 rowers and a coxswain and a place for a visitor that hopefully I'll be riding in that spot. This was built in our shop. This is the inside of our shop. So we took it over for a few months this winter. And we're hoping to bring it here and row it around here. It was just built up the river on the Cathants in Bodenham. And this is what I do every night to recover from the middle school sail training program. 8 hours of middle school boys. The girls are fantastic. Boys are interesting. And that's it. Thank you. Now, to show you this is real, I want to introduce you to a real student, Bethany Ives. And Bethany has, she started as a student, and then she quickly became hired as a crew because she's fantastic. And now she's going to Maine Maritime Academy, and now she'll talk a little bit about herself, and you can ask her questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bethany Ives. Just graduated high school. Next year I'm going to Maine Maritime Academy. I got interested in sailing during middle school. I'd always loved the ocean. I'd never really sailed before though. I saw traditional sailing ships in movies and stuff, and I was like, that kind of looks like fun. I kind of want to try it. So I started sailing summer before high school. I did the 420 program through Sail Maine out of Portland. And the summer after that, I was looking to get into a little bit bigger boat, but COVID hit, so didn't really sail that much that summer. Then during school that year, I found on Sailing Ships Maine website, they were advertising an online class in partnership with AvTech. Stands for Alaska Vocational Technical Center. So I did an online training class, Introduction to Nautical Skills, through them. And that was great. I found out that this actually was something I was interested in. I learned a lot about navigation and knot tying and safety and what this would look like more as a career. And so I was interested in taking this farther, trying different boats. And so then the summer after my sophomore year, I sailed on the summer semester program on the Harvey Gamage. And that was just an amazing experience. I'd never been on a boat that big before. So how that worked is it was me and about 7 other students in high school. And we did 2 weeks of land-based training. So we did navigation, knot tying, safety. It also had school credit that went along with it. So we did ocean science and indigenous studies, and we explored the local communities, did some community service, and it was just a great experience. I got to know people that I would have never met otherwise, people who had very different life experiences from all across the country. There were people from California and Washington, and I was like, whoa, people from all the way across the country, but it was really cool to hear their stories and their perspectives on Maine and sailing and just everything. And then, so we did 2 weeks of land-based training, and then I spent a month sailing on the Harvey Gamage, where I went from not knowing that much to knowing a lot. We stood watch, learned how to handle the sails, the lines, got to steer the boat, haul up the anchor, help set the anchor, and so much more. Navigation and exploring the islands. We mostly sailed along the Maine coast. Got to see some crazy weather and some beautiful weather, and it was a beautiful experience. And to share that with people that I just met, but we got so close. All of the trainees, we got so close in just like a month. It's like having a new set of cousins. It was truly an amazing experience. I can tell more stories about that, but I'll just go through the rest of my journey. We can go back to that later if you guys have more questions. So after that, summer after that, I was interested in getting involved with the Harvey Gamage again. So I was going to crew on the Harvey Gamage, but then it was in dry dock. So I actually got to work Harvey Gamage's dry dock for about a month, learn to sand and paint and varnish and a lot of stuff about how the boat works, how it's put together. I got to see it with a lot of the planks off the hull and almost the entire inside of the boat taken out, and then I got to see how a shipyard works, and it was a very different experience, but I learned a lot from it, and it's fun to now when I go to different harbors, I can be like, oh, I recognize that, and just kind of getting a better understanding of the whole process and how a boat works, and that was a great experience. And then, so after I worked in dry dock for about a month, I sailed on Vela, which was like the Sarah Jane. They were actually sailing at the same time as us. So I sailed on Vela with the captain I'd sailed with on the Harvey Gamage, Captain Pamela, who is an amazing captain. I love her. She's a great role model. It's taught me a lot about sailing and just everything. Yeah. So for that, it was a Sea Cadet sail training program, and I acted as the first mate. So it was Captain Pamela, and then me, and then a bunch of Sea Cadets who hadn't really sailed before, but we took them out and we went around the islands in Maine, and it was a great experience. Learned a lot. It was a huge learning curve for me. I went from being a trainee to being crew, and going from learning to teaching. It's a bit of a shift, but you learn a lot through the teaching process, and I think that was really cool to like see how I actually knew more than I thought I did, but then also through the teaching I learned a lot, and also with working with the captain and working with the sail and then the sails in the new boat and just learning a new system. It was very interesting. And so did that for 2 weeks, and then this summer I am sailing with Alex this week, helping to teach the ensigns with teach the middle schoolers on the ensigns. That's been great. Just finished my 3rd day doing that. I'd never been on an ensign before, but I hopped on and yeah, it was good. It went good. So yeah. I don't. Do you want me to take questions? Okay. Yes. Next year I'm headed to Maine Maritime Academy. I'm majoring in marine transportation operations and playing soccer. So with that major, I will be able to graduate with a 3rd mate's unlimited tonnage Coast Guard license, so I can sail on any size vessel anywhere around the world with a 3rd mate's license, and then work my way up from there. My goal is to work on ocean conservation research vessels, at least for a while, and then I also want to do sailing, and we'll see where things go from there. But those are my goals.